Do you find yourself consistently having to tell people what you do over and over because they just don't get you? Or did you know that to build a really strong brand that you need to consider a multitude of factors? Well, on today's show, we are going to be talking about 5 tips for creating not just your brand, but for creating an outstanding brand. The intention of my Hangouts is to educate, inspire, and empower women solopreneurs just like you to create a very successful business. But without a really strong brand, it just may not happen for you. So I am super excited today to have 2 brand and marketing experts with me today. So in the next 45 minutes, we're going to be talking about the 5 top tips to create an outstanding brand. And if you're new to my Google Hangouts, my name is Dana Smithers. I'm a certified law of attraction trainer and business coach. And when I work with women solopreneurs, primarily ones that are starting up or stuck, I always look at their brand. What's their brand message? And I look at all their marketing materials. And there's, as I said, there's a multitude of factors that you have to consider in creating a really strong brand. So we're going to talk about those today. So have pen and paper ready. And I would like to be introducing my experts in just a moment. So I have Azadeh Yaraghi. She's the founder and creative director of Go to Lugo Creatives. And she has over 12 years of international experience in the world of branding, design, and marketing. And my other guest on the show is Susan Friesen. And Susan is the founder and creator of eVision Media. She's a web specialist, digital marketing consultant, and social media advisor. And Susan and I have worked together over many of my brands, at least for 10 years now. So I've enjoyed working with Susan. She always comes up with the right things for my brand, even though it's important too that I have input. But I always go, all right, they know best, right? Let the experts give you the advice, because that's where we want it to come from. So I'm just going to have Azadeh introduce herself. So tell us where you live and a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Hi, good morning. It's so lovely to be here hanging out on Google. So about myself, you introduced me so beautifully. I live in Vancouver. I grew up in Vancouver. I studied abroad. I worked abroad for many years, but my heart has always been in Vancouver. So after many years of being away, I came back to Vancouver about 8 years ago now and started my business, Go to Lugo. I first framed it because I really believed in collaboration. So right at the time when the economy crashed, I just decided to bring in people from various backgrounds and various parts of the world, because I had been working with all these people around the world, and so I wanted to keep that. And so yeah, my business just kind of grew with 3 people, 5 people at the very beginning, and now we're 35 people. Everyone's all over the world, and we work together, and I act as the creative director. So that's kind of my work. Apart from that, personally, I dance flamenco. Sometimes I even perform. So you might catch me here and there. Yeah, I don't know. I love life. I try my best to live it as passionately as possible.
And we can tell that. And Azadeh, tell the listeners how you came up with your name, because I know you and I met, and I thought that was really neat.
Yeah, so usually I get that asked quite a lot, because Go to Lugo doesn't really mean anything. So like I said, when I first started the business, I didn't necessarily want to attach an adjective to the world of design and branding. So I didn't want to call it dynamic design or anything like that. I wanted a word that embodied this collaboration idea that I had. Also, in our industry, everything is due yesterday. So when people are starting their branding, they're always behind, and it has to just be go, go, go. I'm personally, as the founder, also a go-getter, and in our field, we have to be. And go-go is also fun, right? It's go-getter, but it's also fun. So that's where that first word came from. And then telugo is a play-on word where I tell you, as the client, to go, so that we get things done or accomplished together.
Great. That's great. Thanks so much, and welcome. And Susan, let's have you introduce yourself. I did a little bit, but you go ahead.
Well, first of all, thanks so much for having me on the show today, Dana. This is quite the nice pleasure, so I appreciate being invited. Yeah, so I'm the owner of eVision Media. Started about 16 years ago. It's kind of an accident. I really had no intention of building my own business. I went back to business school and always had the thought that I would become a CIO for some big corporation. But I started volunteering, and people started asking me, can you build me a website? And next thing I knew it, I was building a business. And I too have gone through several iterations of my brand throughout the years, because at first I didn't even have a website. It was like the shoe cobbler's son syndrome. The website builder didn't have her own website. But once I realized, oh, wait a second, I'm becoming my own CIO here. I better make this more official. So started with just me, myself, and I, but I've also evolved, and we now have 11 people on our team, specialists in all the different areas. We cover. We have a remote team as well, and so between Canada and the United States, there's 11 of us who put together all under one umbrella, kind of a one-stop service for business entrepreneurs and business people.
Great.
And you're being one of them. We've worked together for at least 10 years now.
At least, yeah. And Susan, how did you come up with your name?
Well, it was an interesting process. We actually took it to my clients, and I sent out an email and made it a contest. And yes, the winner of the contest is still a client today. I just realized that now. And so it was a lot of fun. We had a lot of submissions, and of course we did a lot of keyword researching, and it was a very, very methodical approach. But the name itself, the E implies that we're online, digital, and the vision was more to say that we've got the vision for you. If you've got a vision, we'll take that vision and make something out of it. We'll create your online presence for you and build up your business. And media, of course, is online marketing is media. So yeah, it was a fun process.
Great, good. Thanks very much, Susan. And I think that's really key words that you're hearing there. Like Azadeh is saying how passionate she is about things and her brand and life and all of that. And Susan is, saying that let's make it fun, right? Like let's have some fun. But again, we always have to keep in mind the target market, right? And we're going to talk about that because that's a really key thing. But just before we get going on the 5 top tips, Azadeh, why don't you tell people maybe, why they need to have a brand? Some people go, well, I don't need a brand. And some might even say, I don't even need a website. So how would you address that if someone said to you, well, why do I need a brand?
Yeah, that's a great question, Dana. I find that today, still, a lot of people are confused as to what brand and branding means. They still believe that a brand is their logo, it's their website, it's their business card, it's all of their marketing collateral, yes. But that's actually not your brand. Your brand is the emotional connection that attracts your target market. It connects with them and it attracts them to you. So in a way, I call it a subliminal feeling. Or other than that, I call it a window to the soul of your business. It's really what you're about, who you're about. So it's a very emotional thing. And not a lot of people, especially small businesses and solopreneurs, take the time initially to investigate what that means. They just kind of go, okay, well, I need a logo, and I need a website, and I need some business cards, and I can probably do it myself, or I can get my cousin who just graduated from my school to do it. And so they don't necessarily go through it in a professional way, and they don't dig deep. And so basically, if you don't have a brand, your business lacks soul. That's how I would say it.
Wow, very, very nicely put. I love that. Window to the soul of your business. And, you're so right, Azadeh, on the other part, because I do work with a lot of startups. They might get a friend or a cousin or their husband or their wife or whatever to just come up with a brand. And, I've looked at some and I'd say, well, what, can you tell me what that has to do with your business? Because I'm just not getting it, right? And they go, well, I don't know. I just like those colors, and, I like this design or whatever, but it's just what you said. There's no connection. So what are we connecting to? Because I like to talk about the tangible part of that brand, which can be those things, the marketing materials, the website, the flyers, the business card. But it's the intangible that you're talking about. So Sue, I know that covers a lot, but is there anything that you would add to that, why you need to have a brand, since you work with very, very professional people and some corporations as well?
Well, yeah, everything you said so far is bang on. It is the emotional component of your business, and we always look at it from a perspective of, well, how do you want to be perceived as? How do you want people to know you and your business, as far as when they see your overall brand? How do you want to be perceived as? What is that emotional connection? Yes, and also, that first impression is what is going to make an immediate assumption about you and your business. And just like what you just said, somebody will come to me with a ladybug and this pretty font, and I'm going, okay, so are you in preschool? That perception of imagery is so critical. But no, I just love ladybugs, and so I wanted to put it in my brand, right? And so they're just missing that whole perception of how people perceive your business when they see your brand.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks very much for that, and all of those are really good points. I just wanted to give you a statistic that one of my networking friends gave at a talk, and this was about actually meeting someone in person. And the statistics go like this: in the first 5 seconds of meeting someone, we make a decision if we like them or not. So 55% is based on how we look, 38% on how we sound, and 7% on the actual words that we say. So I thought, you know what, that is so true of, everything about you and everyone that looks at your brand. Right? Like that's the impression, and Azadeh, you referred to it, the first impression. But I thought, when people go to your website, it's 3 or 5 seconds, they like it or they don't. And for me, whenever someone's interested in coaching with me, the first thing I do is go to their website, because I want to see what's their brand, what are they saying to the world when we go to that and we look at that. And sometimes I'll go, just as Sue was saying, like, there's a disconnect here, like I don't get it. So
and just real quick, Dana, to sometimes it's such a subtle disconnect that the person coming to the site don't even realize that they've just experienced a disconnect, that emotional disconnect that Azadeh was talking about. But they know that this isn't right for them, and they leave. They can't explain why. They can't really put a finger on it. They just get that feeling that this isn't for them. And that's what people often miss, that critical subliminal message that people receive.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and I think ultimately people were emotional. Even in business, we're emotional. In fact, any decision that we ever make is based on an emotional notion or a connection, and then we justify it by logic. Right. And so a lot of times people forget that in business, it's still the same thing. They kind of go, well, no, it's business. It's not like I'm hanging out with my friend. I got to put my business hat on. And as soon as they do that, they totally get disconnected from their own mission, from their why, from their purpose, and all of those things that, again, bring about that passion and the emotions. And they just stick to words and, complicated words and all that. So that's where Susan was saying it creates that disconnect.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's always about that first impression, regardless of the business that you're in. So let's go ahead and as I said, if you got pen and paper, go ahead. And we're going to do the top 5 tips to creating an outstanding brand. So Susan, we're going to start with you. So what would be your, and these are really important tips. I mean, we could have 100, but we consolidated all of them together and came up with 5 to make it manageable. So Susan, go ahead with your first one.
Yeah, so I think the first one that we need to realize is truly to understand what business you're in and what exactly are you providing for your ideal client. Many times I'll have somebody come to me and they want to do this and they want to do that and they've got this and they go, oh, and I love to do this too, and oh yeah, this over here, and they just want to do everything. And it's understandable. Entrepreneurs are passionate people and often are visionaries, and so their vision is just to take care of the whole world. And so my job is to narrow that down to a niche so that we can say, well, what are you exactly providing for your clients? What kind of, exact deliverable can you do for them? What can you provide for them that is of value? And then from that marketing perspective, that's how we position you as the expert in this particular area. Right. It's really tough to do. It's a challenge to do. But it is very necessary. Otherwise, you're just all over the map, and nobody knows anything about what it is that you're actually doing. So I don't know if that explains it enough, Dana, but it's just really get really crystal clear and focused on what it is that you can offer clients, and what are those deliverables?
Right.
Like, what are the results? What at the end of the day, what are they going to benefit from it? So that they know as soon as they come to your website, this is the person I want to hire, this is the product that I need to purchase, because this is bang on what I need.
Exactly. Excellent. Good. And I think that's such a good point is, it's like you said, most of us can do so many different things, but, as both of you, when people come to you to help them with their brand, which I highly recommend that you hire a professional, you ask all sorts of questions to get down, not just the visual, but it's as Azadeh was saying, going into that window of the soul of your business, but also, most importantly, what are your deliverables as well? Because someone's coming to you because they have pain or they have a need, right? So you've got to be able to attract them immediately. And so Azadeh, that leads us perfectly into the second tip that we have. So tell us about why that is so important and what that tip would be.
Yeah, so tip number 2 is understanding who is your target market. This one is extremely important before you start doing anything. Oftentimes, entrepreneurs think that they can or they want to deliver services to anybody under the sun. They kind of go, my target market is anyone and everyone. And that could be, but what happens there is that they lose focus. In an interview, they asked Warren Buffett and Bill Gates, 2 of the world's most successful men. They asked them, what has led you to success? And they both replied to the question at the same time, and they said focus. So when you bring in focus, when you actually pick a niche where you go, this is what I'm delivering, this is the pain that my target market has. So what their buy-in is their the outcome that you're delivering. That's what they care about. And then you go, well, okay, well, if I were to look at all of the people that I could service, I really like these ones. For example, in our business, we really cater to the healthcare and wellness industry. We work with a lot of doctors, hospitals, clinics. So we're very focused in that niche. Of course, we're not going to say no to anybody else that is going to require our services. For example, we also work with a trucking company. It has nothing to do with wellness, because when you're an expert, you know how to help everyone. But in your own marketing initiatives, if you're going after a certain target market because you're passionate about them, the work is fun, when you're sitting in front of them, you really have a great time, right? Remember, you're in business because you love being in business, so you don't want to pick a niche that you don't enjoy, right? So I would say, and this is the time to take some notes, is you want to make sure that you know your demographic and your psychographics. So your demographic is your age group, is the age group of the category you're providing your services for, is the percentage between female and male, because you want to know, are you, A, building your brand so that it attracts more females, attracts more men, or attracts 50-50, and then also then later in your marketing, who are you attracting? So you need to know the percentage, their occupation, their race, their income, education, location, etc. So that's called their demographic. And then the psychographic hits to the emotional part that we were talking about. So what do they like? What do they eat? Where do they hang out? Who are their friends? Who influences them? So you want to kind of get into their mind and their habits and things like that. And once you actually list those things, and really you want to go as deep as you can, right? You don't want to go wide, but you want to go narrow and you want to dig deep. Then you kind of go, okay, well, now I have these people, and then well, if you want to serve them only in Vancouver, then you start going to see, well, where do they hang out in Vancouver? Where can I meet them? What kind of associations do they go to? Or if you want to go across Canada, then you go, okay, well, maybe if I were to do SEO, that would help my business, that I would find them that way. So once you actually know that, then you actually get to know what marketing initiatives to apply.
Perfect. Love it. Thank you so much. And also, just from a law of attraction perspective, I'm just going to use this little tool that I use all the time that often we start out. I remember when I first started, and you both might have this experience, that when I was starting, I mean, to me, anybody that had a pulse and a checkbook, I was good with, right? Because I didn't know, but I'll tell you what I learned out very quickly was the ones I didn't want. Yeah. Right? I could start making a list. So you're saying, you know, you don't need to go wide, go deep, and that's what we want to do. We want to get really clear on who do we want that ideal client to be, because that's the key to any marketing message that we do, or as you say, any marketing initiatives that we do. So from the law of attraction perspective, start with what you don't want, because actually in life we do that. We look at the contrast. Okay, I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want this. This is what I want, this is what I want. And then that's what allows you to have the focus, right? Because we don't want to be all things to all people. And as you said, Azadeh, you know, and even with Susan when she first started out, you know, I always say to people, start small, start locally, then start to build the brand, because then you'll see what do you love. Because you might find more of this than you realize, and it's like, okay, I don't want, you know, for me, I'm not, so I just said not. What I want, positive, energetic people. I love to coach women that actually want to take action and move forward, and not women that just want to stay where they are and be in that victim mode or whatever. So this is a really good tool. So Susan, let's talk about the next one, because I know you do a lot of this, as does Azadeh, but go ahead with this one then, because it follows perfectly. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and it is kind of sequential too. You know, first you have to understand what it is that you're doing and who you want to attract, and define that ideal target market. And then you need to come up with your marketing message. You know, okay, how are you going to let the world know about who it is that you work with, and you know what kind of benefits that they're going to get out of it, and how are they going to learn that you are the ideal person for them. And this marketing message is also just as important. Like you can start off with a simple statement, you know, a position statement, you know, what we call the 30-second elevator speech. Even if you just start with something like that, I work with, and this is what, you know, this is who I help, and these are the results that they get. And just be very specific about that. And from there, then it goes, you know, it can go all over the place. Yes, your website is absolutely, you know, one of the more important parts of your marketing, your branding message, because it is working for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's the primary storefront that people go to check you out. And so that marketing message needs to be really prominent there. And by the way, we haven't really addressed it yet, but I know we've talked a lot about you know, the emotional part of a brand. But of course, what has to happen is you take those emotions and all of this data that we've you know, accumulated over this analysis, and translate that into a visual brand. And you know, you're a fabulous example of that, Dana. Even what we're seeing behind you, you know, red is definitely part of your visual brand. And so everywhere that we see you, whether it's your business card, your website, on social media, on your Google Hangouts, that visual brand. Mm-hmm.
Sorry, what Azadeh? Lipstick, yes.
Yeah, and the red lipstick, and the nails. Gotta have the nails. Yeah, so that's consistency is everywhere, and that creates that brand awareness. So people start to say, "Oh, I know her, right? I've seen that before." So consistency from that visual perspective is extremely important. And then, of course, you have the visual component, but then you have the marketing message too. So, you know, the words that you say needs to appeal to your target market, appeal to their struggles and their, the challenges. You want to speak right to them so that they go, oh my God, this person knows exactly what I'm going through. And it makes it a no-brainer for them to hire you because you're obviously the person that can help them with that situation.
Right. Yeah, perfect. And I know when we were marketing this or doing a new brand for empowered women in business, and then we kind of moved it over to the Dana Smithers, that it's funny because Sue and I thought, okay, I'm going to change my colors. So I'm going to change my colors, right? I mean, I love red. I'm passionate about it. But I thought, well, maybe something softer. So we tried a few different colors, and oh my goodness, Sue's team was working so hard, and I just looked at them and I went, because with Law of Attraction, it's all about how you feel, about what you say or think or what you're seeing, and I just thought, oh, it's just not me. So I said, you know what, scrap that, flip that, because it's what Azadeh is going to talk about next, about values and how you see yourself. And for me, I always want to be, I just find red a very passionate, vibrant, inspiring color. It's just like, I'm not the coach for everybody, but for those people that are attracted to the red and the fire and they really want to, get moving up, even if they've been that phoenix in the ashes, like we can move on, it doesn't matter where you are, you can always move forward from it. So that took a while to get it, but it was so important to both of us that it's like, and as soon as we had that other extra conversation, within half an hour, it's like, that's it, and I loved it. So that, so branding it's not something that you just go, okay, got it, right? I mean, we're talking hours of work and introspection, and like Azadeh is saying, the demographics, the psychographics, and there's even the e-psychographics. Where are they hanging out online, right? So there's all of that we have to consider that's going to attract them to our site. So we're on tip number 4. Azadeh, let's talk about that then. Because I know this is near and dear to your heart.
Yes, it is. But before I get into that, I also just want to say, even though we're talking a lot about emotions, it doesn't mean that people who do branding are a bunch of hippies sitting there working with a lot of touchy-feely stuff. We actually know of tools, and we know what these things mean. Yeah. You were just talking about colors. Colors are not chosen for brands haphazardly.
No.
There's a statistic that says that 86% of why we shop is geared to visuals alone. 86%, right? 96%. 96% of why we shop is visuals alone. 85% of the 96% is color alone. So colors have a huge psychological imprint on us. So before choosing anybody's business's colors, you actually have to understand what the colors mean. And normally, if you're working with an expert, they will sit down and actually go through the gamut of the colors and explain to you what yellow means, what orange means, what red means, blue, green, purple, all of those things, so that when you're going back to the target market you want to work with, the impact and impression you want to create, the messaging, and all of those things that are supposed to align together, your colors have to align with those things. So you're not just picking it because you go, well, I love green because it means grass, and I love grass. Yeah, it's going down a really wrong path, because then, next month or next season you'll be like, oh, but it's Easter and now I want pretty purples. So that's not how you get longevity in your brand. So I just wanted to say that.
And that's a good key word there, longevity.
Yes.
Right? We don't want to be changing that brand every few years.
That's right. Usually when you go through a branding process, you want to keep it at least for 7 to 10 years. It has to be solid. It's not, I was going to say something funny, but maybe I won't.
All right, point number 5.
Point number 4. 4. Tip number 4. So values. Values are so important. I call values are golden. So imagine you giving a birth to your business, and your values are this beautiful golden egg that you lay, and it's very fragile, and it's beautiful. So your values are not meant to be pretty words that you can put up on a wall and it looks great. And they're not meant to be wishy-washy. They're meant to be non-negotiable. So I generally give this example because when people kind of put themselves in the situation, they think different. Imagine if you were going to hire someone. So it doesn't matter how small or big your company is. If you were going to hire someone and you were going to pay this person out of your pocket to work for you, you want to make sure that they align with your values and your company's values. It's the same thing when you choose to work with your clients. You have to make sure that your values are non-negotiable.
Yes.
And you have to make sure that you keep up to that, right? So you have to have integrity as to how you're defining them and sticking to them. Your branding and your marketing initiatives are the same. So initially, what branding does is this is you, this is your target market. Branding connects this, like it creates this magnetic attraction between the two of you. One of the reasons why this happens is because there's a value alignment.
Perfect.
So if I were to say Nike to you, you know what Nike stands for. You have images that come in your mind. You kind of know about their values. You know what they stand for. You like it or you don't like it. It either aligns with you personally or it doesn't. So, and if I were to say Lululemon, it's the same thing. They're in the same industry, but immediately you have different images, different values. It stands for different things. Again, you like it or you don't like it. So it's exactly the same thing. You find two different coaches. You'll talk to them, and immediately after like a 5-minute conversation, you get that gut feeling whether you're jiving with them or not. And those things, again, are the subliminal things, but the essential, the fundamental part of it is because your values are either aligning or not.
Right. Yeah, that's absolutely perfect. And that's perfect law of attraction as well, because you know, the job description of the law of attraction is just to match vibrations. Yes. So when someone's looking at your website or meeting with you or talking with you on the phone, maybe they like what they've seen and they want to follow up, or you're following up. If the two of you, as Azadeh is saying, your branding and this client or the marketing that you're doing, if there's a disconnect, then you're not a vibrational match in terms of law of attraction. And you know that by how you feel about what that is. It's like, yeah, but you know, it's not quite right. Or you could look at anybody's website, and let's say, like recently for me, I was doing a new photo shoot, right? I was rebranding versus starting a whole new brand, but rebranding and tweaking and that, and so I really wanted to update my photos. So I talked with a lot of different photographers actually, and some of them, when I went to their website, there was, for me, there was just so much text, and they had like, you know, I wanted the visual. I just wanted to see, you know, did they do headshots? You know, I wasn't so interested in weddings and family and all of that, but I just want to be attracted to something. And it took me several people, even meeting people, to say, yeah, this is the person that I want to use, because I get back to that, she got me, right? It's just like Susan Friesen over the years, she gets me. We've worked together a long time on not just website, but some other things as well. And you know, we both get each other. We both are very attracted to professionalism. You know, we even have some of the same clients, but it's always about, you know, is someone looking at that, are they going to be attracted to your message? Is that in alignment with who they are as well? So, you know, it absolutely is, you know, as I said, it's a multitude of factors to create a brand. It's not just something that, you know, comes to you overnight, and that's what you do. So I'm going to get to point number 5. So far, the 4 top tips that we have are, you know, understanding what your business is and what the deliverables are. The second thing is know who your ideal client is, so you can know who your target market is. And then creating marketing messages that are, you know, that brand message is the same, it's consistent, it's based on a multitude of factors as well, but it has to speak to your ideal client. We want it to attract right away. And then, as Azadeh just said, you know, be clear on what your values are, because someone will immediately be in alignment with you or not, and we make that judgment sometimes very, very quickly. And so the 5th top tip for creating an outstanding brand, and it's been mentioned a little bit, but it's about being consistent with the brand and with the brand message. And even Azadeh and Susan and myself have experienced this starting out, that maybe we were pretty clear, or we thought we were pretty clear on the beginning about who the ideal client was, what the message was. But over time, as we grew our business as well, maybe we found that we're attracting this person. I hadn't thought about that, or wow, that's a new client for me, or wow, people are asking me to do something that I hadn't thought about doing before. But you still have to go back to your brand. Is that, are you in alignment with what your message is? Are your brand initiatives all consistent? Even if something changes, we can always have a few other things in our toolkit that we do. Just as Azadeh said, she has a niche market, but it doesn't mean that as an expert she can't handle other people's business. She can, but her target marketing may not be for, as she said, recently working with the truck company. Well, she's not going to have trucks all over her website and her brand. She's not going to change it for that. So it has to be consistent, and it has to have broad brand appeal, but consistent in everything. And for me, one of the things that I find a little bit unsettling, and where I get the disconnect, is where someone doesn't seem to be congruent with their message. I actually meet them, and I think, well, I wonder who created that brand, because there's no. Yeah, I don't get it. There's no congruency. Or one time, I find this often in networking, someone will present themselves, maybe selling a product that they sell on the side, and then the next time you meet them, they're telling you about something else that they do, and I find that confusing. I think if you want to go to one networking group and you want to sell a product or something, then I think you need a separate website for that, because I think it gets, unless it's part of, let's say you're in the health industry, and it's a food product or something like that, or you're in the beauty industry and it's makeup or something. But if it's completely different, then I think you need a completely different website. What would you say to that, Sue?
Absolutely.
I see it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I get approached with that a lot too. Clients will say, well, yes, I'm a coach and I'm doing this, but I'm really want to do that too. And at the end of the day, you end up with two different target markets.
Yeah.
One person will appeal to this, and that's what they need, and somebody completely different will need this. And so, yeah, you need two different brands, two different websites to be able to pull that off. Right. Otherwise, it's just too diffused. You've just confused the people coming to your site. What is this person doing? One's, they're in conflict of each other almost.
Yeah. Actually, Azadeh, this is a question. I know we hadn't planned on this one, but it just popped up when Susan was talking. What about that person that wants to get out there and is doing all sorts of marketing, and they don't have any visuals done yet? No business card, no website. What would you say to that person? Keep going or hold off?
I would say that they're probably in their research mode.
Yeah.
They're probably trying to find out who they are, maybe how they're different in the marketplace, going to networking groups, trying to figure out, talking through, doing different elevator pitches, trying to see what connects, what doesn't connect, maybe meeting other people who do the same thing as they do, but trying to figure out how they're different. I would just say, don't put something out there that you're not 150% sure about, because first impressions are last impressions. People are busy. Everybody's busy. So what happens is when you show up and you open your mouth and whatever you do, people get that notion of you. It almost creates a stereotypical image in their head. And then if you show up next time, like you were saying, and you say something else, then already you've lost them.
Yeah.
They're not gonna listen the second time.
Right.
So yeah, to this point of consistency is actually your biggest tool to create loyalty. So if you're not sure about what you're saying, just don't say it. Do like an in-house, try different things in-house, or have like a board of advisors that you go to. Be 100% sure, 150% sure, and then start communicating that.
Right. Good. Thanks. I believe in that, and I know Sue does as well, very strongly. So, Susan, what do you want to say about that? Put up something that's a little bit unprofessional, et cetera, et cetera.
I say shut it all down. You lose way more than you think you do if you have bad branding that you're using. If you went to the free, got a free icon for your logo, and you're using Vistaprint with the Vistaprint's marketing message on the back of it for your business card, I say just toast it all. Don't use anything. Your person is your brand, and build from there. Get some clients that way. I've told a lot of people, don't do anything yet. If you have no budget, don't waste any money on anything. Just get out there and be your brand yourself, and build a business that way, so that you can start to get an idea of who it is that you want to work with. And you were saying that before, Dana. Goodness, a big clue for me is when the phone rings and I look on the call display and I go, oh. We know that kind of person is not our ideal client, right? Like you want to live in joy all day. That's at the end of the day, we want to be joyful with who we work with, and so those are the people that you want to work with, and find them when you're networking. Don't waste money and time and effort on crap. Wait till you have some money to invest properly, and then get it done the right way.
Yeah, and I concur with that. For another reason, in that if someone has met you and they go to your website and they say, oh, it's not very good, doesn't really represent what I do, right away I've not got a good feeling about that person, because I like to deal with professionals, regardless of what business I'm going to be in. Even if it's just a fun thing, I still want to know that I'm dealing with a professional. And when I see sites that I know or they've made up, or they've used a template but not used the template well. I mean, yes, WordPress has got some good things, but you still need to know what you're doing, and it's all about, again, being in alignment with your brand and being consistent. So I agree. I think it's better not to put anything up. When I look at someone that's done, like you said, Sue, the Vistaprint card or something, and it's got that on the back, I think I'm not going to spend my hard-earned money on them, because one, I don't think they're serious enough in business, and two, I might question, is it a hobby for them? Because if I'm going to hire somebody, and it's okay if that's a hobby, that's fine, but if I'm going to spend money where I really have a need and I've got people to choose from, then I'm going to be attracted to the one that has that not only professional image, because the visuals are important, but it's got to be, I have to click inside with them, the alignment inside. Are they saying the things I want to hear? And if not, then I'm going to move on to the next person, because we've always got those, choices for who it is we want to do business with.
And I think too, Dan, if I can just say one more thing about that, because to me, we're so alike in that way. When I go to a website, and to me, it just explodes as amateurish. This was a do-it-yourself. Somebody clearly didn't really understand what it was that they were trying to do. They were just throwing up something, hoping that something was there.
Yeah, something would stick.
Yeah, hoping it sticks, right? And the problem with that is they're giving the impression that they're an amateur. Therefore, they're also giving the impression that they're cheap. Therefore, they're going to attract people who are looking for cheap, and they're never going to get their ideal client who is actually willing to pay what they deserve to earn. And so it really works in reverse for them. Having something up that does not portray them professionally is bad for them on so many different levels, and a lot of entrepreneurs just aren't aware of that.
Right, absolutely. Agree with that.
Can I add something, Dana?
Absolutely.
I just want to add, so that people either know or they get reminded that branding is just the beginning. If they're thinking that they're going to invest in a beautiful brand and get all of their stuff together, launch a beautiful website, and all of a sudden all these people are going to come rushing to their website to buy their services, they're wrong.
Yeah.
So they really need to understand that branding's just step number one. That afterwards, they have to really understand from the get-go, they have to have big vision and understand that they're going to do their branding, and then they're going to go and do marketing, and then business development, and everything else that actually comes after to then sell your brand. But if you don't have a solid brand at the beginning and you're spending a lot of dollars doing marketing, bringing all these people to your website, and then it's not connecting, then you're wasting your marketing dollars. So you're doing it in the reverse manner. Right. So really, you start with branding, but you have a bigger budget, an even bigger budget to do your marketing.
Yeah, that's perfect, Azadeh, because it does. It all starts with your brand. You don't want to be out there creating a message if you don't know what your brand is. So you need to go through that process. So that's great. We're going to just wrap it up here. And I would like both Susan and Azadeh to let the listeners know how they can get in touch with you and if you have any programs going on right now. So Azadeh, I'm just going to go back to you. So how can people get in touch with you?
Sure, however way you want to. My phone number's on there. Azadeh@gogotelugo.com is my email. Otherwise, the website, gogotelugo.com. We have created a very unique brand workshop where we take those who are either rebranding, they've been in business for 5, 6 years or longer, they really know their target market, they've been through business, and they really know how they want to attract their clients, but they know that their current brand is just old and it doesn't do what they do, or usually the message is not communicating to the right audience. Or if somebody is just starting out in business, we take them through this brand workshop. It's a 3-hour one-on-one, or if it's a company, then it's same thing, 3 hours, but we sit around the board table and we go through their brand. There are 10 steps to it. And at the end of it, they get their brand Bible, and then after that, usually the collateral starts. So first we do their brand, they understand who they are and everything else, and then it trickles into their logo and their website and their marketing stuff.
Terrific, great, thank you so much. And Susan?
Yeah, I think the best way to reach me is at our website, evisionmedia.ca, as you can see at the bottom here. I'm also on social media. You can send an email if you have any questions at all about your brand, or if you're wondering if your brand is not quite right. I can certainly help with that and go through a similar process of exploring, what your brand should be, defining that from from that initial perspective, and then go from there. But if you need any help with that, I can certainly help as well.
And Susan, tell the viewers about your monthly social media.
Yeah, we have it's not quite in relation with brand, but of course I'm always talking about it, and definitely always talking about knowing your ideal client. So it is a part of it, and it's called Social Blast. And it's once a month we get together for a live online call, and I teach social media and online marketing, and it's basically a how-to. I literally show exactly step by step how to do this, how to do that. So we do sometimes it's a couple of months, two sessions where I'll cover all about Twitter. And then maybe I'll do a whole 5 or 6 part series on Facebook, and we're going to have that at some point too. So, and then online marketing too. I guess, it is all about your branding. Like even when you're writing an article for your blog, that's all brand positioning too. You want to be showcasing your expertise. And so I share, okay, this is what you need to be thinking about the next time you write your next blog article, and how to put it into WordPress, and what you need to make sure that you write about topics that appeal to your target market, stuff like that. So it's Social Blast is once a month, and it's only $37 a month, and so it's a very reasonable 1-hour hands-on teaching, and people are the viewers are more than welcome to go and check that out. It's the link for that is socialmediagroupcoaching.com. socialmediagroupcoaching.com, or go to our website, and there's some links to it from there as well.
Very good. Well, thanks very much, Susan and Azadeh. Yeah, 2 brand and marketing experts that really know their stuff. And I think one of the most important things that also has come out from this is that you want to be seen as an expert in your field. That's why people are going to pay the price that you're asking, because of the value that you put on it. So as Susan said, if you've got something that kind of looks cheap, then people are going to expect not to have to pay very much for that. So, you know, we want it to be professionally done and work with the experts. So thank you so much, ladies, and I'm Dana Smithers, and you can reach me at danasmithers.com, and I have a new program that I've just launched. It's a Law of Attraction, and it is a recorded online program in Google Hangouts, so it's kind of just like this, but I have 6 wonderful entrepreneurs in the program. Azadeh is one of them. So if you want to learn how to use the Law of Attraction more deliberately, it's recorded online, so you can go to /programs/law-of-attraction if you're interested in that. And the beautiful thing about that, it is only $97. So if you want to know how to do more of this, get clear on your ideal client, get focused, understand why maybe you're not manifesting things, or maybe why you're not even coming up with the right brand, or understanding who your ideal client is, because that's a big part of the Law of Attraction, that your message has to match your ideal client, and then we want to get the connect, not the disconnect. So that's the Hangout with Dana show today. I thank you for watching, and the beautiful thing too about this is it will be recorded and it can be looked at any time. So Susan and Azadeh, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yes, thank you.